Dow Jones Industrial Average off 225 points. All through the major indices, as you can see, down less than 1%, but getting very close. When the show began, the Dow was off 320 points, maybe finding some equilibrium as we head into the last hour of trading. We will continue to watch these markets. Now despite President Trump's pro-military policies, a new report says the strength of America's military is bordering on a national security emergency. The Bipartisan National Defense Strategy Commission says years of ignored warnings, coupled with a slow and ineffective response to the growing threats of China and Russia, have left the United States in a very precarious position. Joining me now to discuss, Rebecca Grant, former Secretary of the Air Force. Rebecca, this is a shocking report. It came out at 10:30. I'm not even sure it didn't play a role in this market getting even weaker, suggesting that we could even perhaps lose a war to one of these countries. What do you make of it?
It is a shocking report, but it builds on Secretary Mattis's national defense strategy, which directly called out the threats from Russia and from China. And Charles, what's different here is these threats now really include cyber attacks. They include increased use of electronic warfare. We still have a technical edge, but the buildup of China and Russia's forces and their aggressive actions around the globe have made it much harder for us to keep our edge of superiority.
Rebecca, a lot of the report revolved around the Belt and Road Initiative, revolved around the Made in China 2025 ambitions. To your point, there's some technology things here, but there's also some stuff on the hardware side, right? Improved Air Force, encroachment around the world. They built a base in Djibouti, pretty soon blue water capabilities. I mean, they seem to be specifically honing in specifically at America. Like, that is their ultimate goal, to be able to challenge us militarily. Why are we being caught so flat-footed?
100% right. Challenging the U.S. military in the Western Pacific is their #1 goal. And we're not exactly flat-footed. Our military forces know this is here, but we're dealing with some long-term trends. One is our ongoing problems with readiness, particularly aviation readiness. And we are just now turning to make some of the long-term investments that we need to protect everything from our nuclear command and control down to how we use our marine amphibious ready groups. So it's a big change in strategy for us. Meanwhile, China is working harder to develop their air forces. We saw their J-20 fighter and its missiles last week at the air show, and we see a lot of new and fresh activity from their Navy, particularly in the South China Seas.
Rebecca, also the report sounding a word of caution on the sort of technologies that we import from China. There was a report not long ago of tiny chips being embedded in certain products. Companies involved or that were named in that report deny it. And also ZTE, there's going to be 5G. There's going to be a lot of different technologies being unveiled here soon. Do we push back on all of them? How do we safeguard that none of them are sort of Trojan horses?
We need incredible vigilance, and that report about the chips, there is just no way that Homeland Security can certify that every chip is safe. So the steps are basic. We've got to protect our supply chains. Companies have to assume that there is ongoing Chinese and Russian and other penetration of networks. So we need the best levels of cybersecurity, and we need to be very careful what we trade with China at this point because of those exact threats.
The public should know that this is a commission conducted 6 public hearings. They had the testimony from 56 expert witnesses from government, private, academia, think tanks, research institutions, other backgrounds, and it was bipartisan. This is a serious report, and we should take it seriously. Rebecca, always appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the depth